Hey, good Wednesday afternoon, everybody. Meteorologist Dan Bickford here in the Storm Team 7 Weather Center, where we've been dealing with some very heavy rainfall for part, not all of the area. So there are some ongoing flood issues, and there are some spots where you're wondering, well, where has the rain been to this point? Well, we still have a heavy rain potential across much of the rest of the area as we go through the next couple of days. We'll try to break it all down for you right here. Here's the latest look at live Doppler as of 1:30 this afternoon. Notice just numerous showers across the area. We may get a stray rumble of thunder in here, but mostly this has just been heavy rain as opposed to stronger thunderstorms or anything like that. In fact, the threat for any severe weather is pretty much on the minimal side. This is pretty much going to be a heavy rainmaker as we go through the rest of the day today. We'll go ahead and put this into motion, and we can see the individual showers generally moving from southwest to northeast, and we'll continue to see that going on through the rest of the afternoon while the main line kind of moves from west to east. Notice how, as we stand right now, from Henderson County through Oconee County through the Toccoa area right through here, just some light rain. This is the area that got pounded last night into this morning. This is the area where we have the flood issues that are ongoing right now, and we'll get to those here in a little bit. The main batch of rain has pushed a little bit to the east of that and has fallen apart to some extent. It's not as solid, but any individual cell here could produce some brief heavy rain. And with the chance for heavy rain continuing over the next few days, that'll saturate the soil. So we'll get to the point, especially by, say, late tomorrow and Friday, any heavy rain on saturated soil could cause some localized flooding issues for some of the area. But the main point of contention, shall we say, in terms of rainfall amounts, has really been in the northwestern upstate, northeastern Georgia, and into the south central mountains of western North Carolina. This is live Doppler estimated rainfall. Keep in mind, estimated. We do this because we just simply don't have rain gauges everywhere that we can call on. Notice the gauge over here, total rainfall. You see where we go from the yellows to the oranges and beyond. Orange and beyond is over 3 inches of rain. Once you get into the reds, you're closer to 5 inches of rain. This has, over the past 24 hours now, a batch of heavy rain that has fallen from really central Henderson County, through Brevard, through Transylvania County, across northern Pickens County, across Oconee County, down towards the Toccoa area. We've already received one rain gauge report from Toccoa of over 6 inches of rain over the past 24 hours. So again, while this is a radar estimate, it doesn't necessarily tell the true story, and based on what we've been hearing, we've probably had a little bit more rain than what the estimate is saying. So while the estimate says generally 3 to 5, 4 to 6 or 5 to 7 inches of rain so far, probably is a little closer to reality for some of these areas. And obviously, do that in 24 hours, you're going to have some runoff issues. That water falling off into rivers, streams, low-lying areas, you get the rises and you get flooding. So far, flooding issues have generally been in those areas that typically flood when we get too much rain, and has been characterized so far as light to maybe briefly moderate flooding, but obviously enough to cause some problems, particularly in rural areas, rural roadways, anywhere near rivers and streams, low water crossings, that sort of thing. Our rainfall amounts have been a lot less, a lot farther to the east. That doesn't necessarily mean you're out of the woods, because as I'll show you in a bit, scattered shower and storm chances, they're not going away anytime soon. Even in areas where we've had the heavy rain, more heavy rain could occur. Not a slam dunk. This is why, strangely enough, there are no flood watches in effect. A flood watch means conditions are favorable for flooding. The problem is pinpointing the exact areas where these heavy bands of rain are going to set up, at least in advance, is extremely difficult, if not impossible. What we can tell you is that the atmosphere in place is very moist, and anywhere where we get stronger storms, we're going to get some locally heavy rain and could get some flooding. Exactly where that occurs day to day, we can't tell you. All we can tell you is the threat is there just about everywhere, but again, it's not probably widespread enough for a larger flood watch. That could change later today. Chief Meteorologist Christy Henderson will be along later this afternoon into this evening with the forecast on air, and if we've got more watches or any watches that are issued, she will be along to let you know. The rain we're in right now, part of a much larger band of moisture that stretches from the eastern Gulf of Mexico, where an area of low pressure has been clear on up into New England, and we're going to stay in this moist flow of air through tomorrow. As we get to the weekend, I think the main axis of moisture is gradually going to push to the east. That doesn't take away our rain chances. We're still going to have spotty storm chances over the weekend. It is going to maybe lower the rain chances a little and probably decrease the threat for some heavy rain. Ongoing right now, there are some flood warnings and advisories. Where you see the lighter green, those are actually flood warnings stretching from Stevens County around Toccoa through a good chunk of Oconee County, northern Pickens, northwestern Greenville County, most of Transylvania County into central sections of Henderson County. These are areas where there have already been reports of water piling up in low-lying areas or rivers or streams going over their bankful or possibly about to or forecast to, which means anywhere that typically floods in low-lying areas or near rivers and streams in these areas, we're going to have some flooding issues going through the rest of the afternoon. Where you see the darker greens, that would include Habersham County, the rest of Henderson County up into McDowell County. These are areas that are under flood advisories. It's not quite as severe as a flood warning, but they could become flood warnings if enough rain occurs. That just means that there's very minor issues generally with ponding, enough to put some water over some roadways, but nothing that is going to cause any major difficulties, but something to be aware of. If you've got any travel plans through any of these areas, particularly through areas that normally flood, you may want to hold off or find another route. We may see this situation improve a little as we go through the rest of the afternoon because the heavy rain has left these areas. Just the same, more showers, more thunderstorms are possible later today, into tonight, and into tomorrow, which will just exacerbate the situation a little bit more. Obviously, no warnings or advisories elsewhere across the area for the time being. Depending on where the heavier rain cells set up over the next day or so, we may see more warnings or advisories elsewhere as we go through time. Take a look at the hour-by-hour forecast as we go through the rest this afternoon into tonight. Here we pick this up here at shortly, coming up on 2 o'clock. It's 1:38 right now, so the forecast model has that main line of showers and heavier rain stretching across parts of the northwestern upstate, into northeastern Georgia, into some of the mountains and foothills of North Carolina. Not too far off of where it is now, although reality on radar probably a little weaker than what the model says. And then you'll notice a gap, and then you'll notice some more showers off to the east. This is kind of how things are playing out right now, where you've got that main line, and then to the east of that, some showers are going to try to develop, and some of those could produce some heavier rain as well. As we go through the rest of the afternoon, the forecast models try to weaken that main line, still keep some spotty showers across the area. If that occurs, then going into evening drive, we may catch a little bit of a break, and that would certainly be good news if people are trying to get home and schools are letting out, people are trying to get school buses trying to go places, and hopefully we've got the water off some of the roadways in places where we do have those issues. However, as we go deeper into the evening, more waves of moisture are going to be arriving from the south, so we may see an uptick in coverage on some of the showers as we go a little deeper into the night. Probably more so in the mountains initially, but anywhere in the upstate, we may see some spotty showers. And look what happens here as we go into midnight. We get that moist flow of air coming in from the south. It tries to ride up the mountain slopes. That air gets pushed up. It creates more clouds, more rain, and it's possible that as we go through tonight and early tomorrow morning, we could have another batch of heavy rain try to develop in some of the same areas where we saw it last night and into early this morning, which would be some of the southwestern southern mountains of North Carolina, into northeastern Georgia, and the far northwestern upstate. If that occurs, I can pretty much guarantee you we will see flood issues continuing, because we've already seen several inches of rain in these areas. And if we get these cells setting up to where that happens, we could see at least as much fall again over the same amount of time over the next 24 hours. And obviously that would be a bad thing. This, however, does keep things a little drier farther to the east, rain much spottier. Keep in mind, though, any heavier shower still could produce not only, obviously, locally heavy rainfall, but if you get a couple of those in a row, then you can get some saturated ground and get some quick rises on some of the waterways. The broad view, again, some showers are going to be around, maybe a stray thunderstorm through the afternoon into the evening. We may catch a little bit of a break going into tomorrow morning for some, but I think we may still have some ongoing showers, particularly some of the areas that have already seen some of the heavier rain. And the daytime heating, we get another blossoming of showers and maybe some thunderstorms across the southeast. And it's just going to come down to seeing where the heavy rain bands try to set up for tomorrow. If this model is correct, the best chance may be more towards Charlotte and the I-77 corridor. but we may still have some locally heavy rain around here. And if we get a secondary band, again in the mountains or the northwestern upstate, we get some heavy rain. It could happen farther east. So really, what you need to do is just stay weather aware over the next couple days, wherever you are. Even if you haven't seen a whole lot of rain yet, the threat's not over. If you have seen a lot of rain, you may see more. So just kind of keep that in mind. And then as we go into Friday and the weekend, something interesting happens. Let me go out here and take a broader view here using one of our global forecast models, the European model. This is what it has. It's just general rain, maybe some thunderstorms across the area. A little bit of a lull for some Friday morning, but still some rain around. Friday afternoon, you get the blow up of showers and thunderstorms. But notice most of the darker greens, the yellows, they're farther off to our east. The main moisture axis may shift to the east as we go to the weekend. What does that do for us? It would reduce the threat for heavier rain, but we'll still have enough leftover moisture where each day through the weekend, there's going to be the possibility of some pop-up showers and thunderstorms that could produce some locally heavy rain. But it's more likely, though, that we'll probably see less rain in the overnights and the mornings during this time frame, and most of it would just be kind of the normal pop-up storms we would see as we get to this time of year, as opposed to just the general rainfall that we saw last night to this morning, and we'll probably see tonight and into tomorrow morning. Additional rainfall through Tuesday. This counts everything between now and Tuesday. And the majority of this, I'd say about 75–80% of it, is mostly going to be between now and Friday night. An additional 4+ inches towards the North Carolina Piedmont, much of the mountains into the northern upstate, parts of northeastern Georgia, the eastern upstate as well. This includes a good chunk of the 85 corridor from Greenville, Spartanburg to Gaffney down towards Union. An additional 3 to 4 inches of rain may fall. Now, some of these areas, especially in the eastern upstate, have only seen 1/4 to 1/2 of an inch. Over the next few days, you're going to see more. Some of those areas along the North Carolina, South Carolina line, where we've already seen perhaps 5–6 inches of rain, you may see another 3 to 4 over the next few days. Obviously, that will cause a continuation of some flooding issues. Lesser amounts the farther south and west you go, to the point where you get too far to the west, you start running into just, well, brief heavy rain, and that's going to be about it. Keep in mind, and we've been mentioning this on air too, this is just a general average rainfall total. So just because you live in one of these towns and live in one of these areas, you may not see exactly those numbers, because we don't know for sure where those heavier bands are going to set up. Last night to this morning was pretty much on the South North Carolina border in the mountainous areas. That may happen again tonight. Some of the models are showing that. If that happens, you're not going to see 3 to 4 more inches of rain. You're going to see perhaps another 5 to 6 plus. If that line of heavier showers should set up farther south or farther east, that's where we're going to see the locally heavy rain. So again, these are average rainfall totals for these areas between now and Tuesday. This is additional rain in addition to anything you've already seen. And locally heavier amounts are going to be possible. It's just a matter of where those stronger bands of showers set up. So again, bottom line, there's still going to be the threat for heavy rain where we have the ongoing flooding in some of northeastern Georgia, the northwestern upstate, the south central mountains. That's probably going to continue for at least a little while. You'll catch a little bit of a break, but the potential for more heavy rain is going to be there later tonight into tomorrow morning. Elsewhere, where you haven't seen much, the threat's not over. You may get away without... A couple days from now, you may look back at this and go, I thought you said there was going to be heavy rain and flooding. There are some areas that are going to see lower totals than these. I will tell you that right now. But because the atmosphere is so moist, so much moisture coming through, wherever the heavier cells set up, we're going to have locally heavy rain and the potential for at least some localized flooding issues. So just stay weather aware as we go through the next couple days. Keep your Storm Team 7 weather app at the ready. Have your 7 News app at the ready. So if there are reports of flooding, you can find those out. Christy will be in with the weather starting at 5 o'clock this evening. She will have the latest numbers on our high and low temperatures and the latest on where the weather is ongoing and where the flooding threat is going to be moving as we go through time. And again, if you've got any travel to do, be careful if you're going through any areas that either typically flood or are near rivers or streams, and be especially careful at night, because at night, if there's water over a roadway, it's going to be really difficult to see. Have yourself a good, safe rest of your Wednesday afternoon, everybody.